Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another meeting of Pulaski County Fiscal Court. Certainly glad to have everyone here. We will do the pledge. Mr. Wheeldon's going to lead us in the pledge in just a minute, but first I want to have a moment of silence just to be thankful to be here and to live in Pulaski County in good weather and summertime and enjoying life. So we have a lot to be thankful for. So let's have a moment of silence, and then Mr. Wheeldon will lead us in the pledge. Thank you. Thank you very much. Let's all stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item of business this morning will be to approve the minutes from the June 13th court meeting. I think we all have a copy in front of us. If you had time to review those. Any discussion, questions?
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Wilson makes a motion. Mr. Wheeldon seconds. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item will be old business, second reading of the administrative code.
Motion to approve. Second.
I have a motion from Mr. Strunk and a second from Mr. Wilson. Any discussion on this?
I do.
No, go ahead.
In this administration code, we're increasing minimum bid amount to advertise for bids from 20 to 30,000, and I'm in disagreement in that. I don't believe we should be raising at a time where our money's tight and stuff like that. I don't believe we should be raising that to say, hey, if it's something that costs us under 30,000, that we don't need to bid on it. I believe we should keep it at 20,000. So that'd be the only reason why I'm voting no on this administration code.
All right.
Our state allows for 30,000.
The state does, but it's not mandatory for the counties to carry that same 30,000. State's got a bigger budget than we do.
Well, and just because there's a state requirement, which also can apply to the counties if you all adopt it, that still doesn't mean that you can still publicly bid for items under $30,000 or under $20,000 if you want to. That's up to the court. It's not mandatory that you don't bid if it's under that amount. You can always publicly bid anything you want to. That's just a ceiling saying if it's going to be over that amount, then you have to publicly bid it. But you can always publicly bid anything you want to.
It's never been done, but it's always gone by this admin code.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying. I just want to clarify that. Yeah.
Any other discussion? I know the increase in the bid amount has been recommended to 30. I know the state recommends that. We have been at 20 for many, many years. I will watch that going forward to make sure we get excellent bids on any project we do. I will take it on myself to make sure that happens. Also, I want to make note on this administrative code change is salary schedule. We have a salary schedule update also included in this with
We'll
some
have to
new.
do them separate.
Okay,
We'll have to do
all right,
the code first and then the salaries.
all right. Have a motion on the floor to vote on the administrative code with the exception of salaries. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Roll call.
Turpin,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Wilden,
Yes.
Ranshaw,
No.
Strunk.
Yes.
Motion passes. Now with the salary update, is there any discussion on that? I'll have to have a motion on that.
Motion to approve salaries?
Second.
Mr. Strunk makes a motion, Mr. Wilson seconds. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. We'll move on to new business. We got a addition to the county road system. We got Caden's Way in the first district. It's 2/10 of a mile to take in. I think everything's been done on it. We've had public hearing. We've looked at it. Do I have a motion to take it into the system?
Motion. Second.
Mr. Wheeldon makes a motion, Mr. Turpin seconds. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Also, we have another one, Pine Hill Court. It's in the third district. It's 1,402 feet. We had a public hearing on it yesterday. We had some people that showed up. It's nothing major. The road's in good shape, but to have a water meter, 2 water meters, and 2 water lines that are close to in the right of way, that would have to do a little bit of work on before they do any kind of blacktopping. They'd want to move the water line up the road and put 2 meters to the respective houses.
Motion.
Mr. Wheeldon makes that motion to accept it. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Wilson seconds. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We have another road that's been asked to come into the county. It's called Tiffany's Way. It's in the first district. It's approximately 1,800 feet. It hasn't been measured by the 911 system yet, but I'd like to have a couple of volunteer magistrates to look at that to see the conditions of that road. Would anybody like to volunteer? Mr. Strunk?
I'll go with you.
Mr. Wheeldon? You guys go ahead and take that upon yourself then. Thank you. Next item of business, I have a appointment to make on the Western Pulaski County Water Board. Amy Polson her term is expiring on that board, and I would like to reappoint her as a member to put her back on. Her term is expired in 3 days. Do I have that motion?
Motion.
Mr. Turpin makes a motion.
Second.
Mr. Wheeldon seconds. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next item will be a treasurer.
Motion.
Second.
Gotta say the name, who you want to hire.
Mr. Wheeldon makes a motion, and who's seconding that?
I did.
Mr.
For Carissa.
Mr. Ranshaw seconds. I will do some explanation here. We hired our current treasurer 1st of March, around that time, to fill the unexpired term of a previous treasurer. That term runs out June 30, and now we're making the motion to hire Carissa Morris as a 4-year term for treasurer. Any discussion?
I think she's done a good job, and what she's done, so we carry on.
Very good. Any other comments? All in favor, say aye.
No. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item will be to accept these Pulaski County bids that we opened on contractors, paving, fuel. We advertised for back a month ago, I think, when we opened them, and we went over those bids. We have some very good competitive bids, and I think we've all looked at them. I think the magistrates have had a list in their possession for a while to look at, to have some comments, questions. Any way you want to do those? I think we will accept the lowest bid on all of them, even though some of them are very close. We did have a fuel bid that was a half-cent lower than the previous bid that we had, the supplier that is doing it now. So what is the pleasure of the body?
So we accept all the bids, but they're in order of
In order of,
lowest to highest and availability, right?
correct.
So I make a motion that we accept the bids that way.
I have a motion on the floor from Mr. Ranshaw. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Turpin seconds. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Moving right along. We have an opening in the occupational tax clerk office. I don't have that on the agenda, but it came in lately, a little later than what we had to publish this. We have done an extensive interview with about 6 candidates, and we have decided, me and the tax clerk have interviewed and asked lots of questions, and I'm recommended that we hire Sandra Ramsey as a new hire for a clerk to take the place of one that has been transferred to another department. Could I have that motion?
Is she already doing it now?
Do it.
Is she already doing it now?
No, she's not here. She's a new employee.
You know her.
Can we get some more information about her, or
Sure.
can you?
I can. She's a longtime employee of True Check. She's been there for 20 years, and she's asked to be hired by the county. She's got a quite extensive role in bookkeeping and tax returns and things like that.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Turpin. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Ranshaw makes the second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We have one more item that's not listed here. It's the renewal lease on the Alzheimer's Center. We have had that building for many, many years, and the Alzheimer's program is there, but we've never had a written lease on that building. And they have requested one this year, more than a handshake. So Martin has written that out, and he probably needs to present that.
Oh, it's fine. It's just, it's $1 a year lease, and it's an annual lease, and it renews automatically annually, the 1st of July, unless either party decides to terminate in writing. So typical lease agreement.
Is it, they take care of maintain the inside, we maintain the outside, or?
Correct, yep. Yep.
Is it basically lease like we have with the health department?
Yep.
Motion to renew lease.
Mr. Strunk makes a motion. Do you have a second?
Second.
Mr. Wilson seconds. Need more discussion?
It's already been signed by Tammy Cranfield. She's chairperson of the Alzheimer's Center, so she's already signed it, so the judge will sign it, y'all.
All in favor, say aye.
No.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to department reports. EMS, Mr. Steve Eubank.
Hello, Judge. I think we've got a bid opening for video laryngoscopes.
Got all these boxes back here?
I hope not.
Mark this on the top.
Yeah.
There was only one.
Okay.
Just one.
I assume it was clocked in timely, received timely?
Yes.
You know,
No, I don't think so, but who knows?
Martin likes these envelopes.
I still can't figure out how that UK envelope came up in that time. This is from Boundtree, a bid on video. How do you say that word? Laryngoscopes?
Yeah.
$15,630. Says it includes everything for deployment of the McGrath VL system, at least one each disposable blade, backup battery, and case.
All right.
Is that the only bid we have?
That was the only one. That was, we didn't receive a bid at the last meeting, and we extended it. So, all right. Thank you all for this, and we'll get these reviewed and get all these bids.
Motion to accept for review?
second.
Mr. Strunk makes a motion to accept for review. Mr. Renshaw seconds. Any discussion?
Is that just for, are you just looking to get one of those, or,
No, that would be one for, on all the frontline trucks.
so how many total?
I think it was for 8, and that is included in that price.
So that's 8 of them for a total of $15,000 or $15,000 each?
No, it's a total. That's the total price.
Okay.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Thank you, Judge.
Motion carries. Next item will be public safety, open some fire truck bids. Stacy?
I guess Martin get to open all them boxes behind him.
Hopefully they go faster, easier than that first one did. Vogel, Foe, whole fire equipment.
He got one last year.
There'll be 2 different trucks, Martin. There'll be one for Haynes Knob and one for Nancy Fire
Yeah,
Department.
this is probably, I was gonna see if they had a summary in here somewhere. Fire apparatus proposal,
30 days.
Haynes Knob, $498,052 for a one
Tax.
E1 commercial pumper.
And,
Is there another one within this bid, Stacy?
Might be separate, I don't know.
I think it's in another box here. Let's see.
penalty tax. 30 days.
I'd say each one of those notebooks are just one bid.
Probably just one.
That's all I see on this one.
Then he turns to you and it's.
see on that one. I don't understand. Oh, here we go.
I like that president.
This is from High Tech Rescue, a tanker pumper bid for the Nancy Fire Department. $464,379.96, $464,379.96. This is from the same company for Haynes Knob Fire Department. Pumper bid, $439,306.99, $439,306.99. America's Bravest Equipment Company, U.S. Fire Apparatus. Nancy Fire Department, a two-door Kenworth tanker, 1,500 GPM hail pump, and 3,000-gallon water tank. $599,630. $599,630. That's the tanker with the two-door, 500 horsepower engine, 1,500 GPM hail pump, and a 3,000-gallon tank. They put tape over the pull tab.
Thanks for all the money, aren't they?
This is from U.S. Fire, Haynes Knob Fire Department, two-door Kenworth pumper tanker, 1,500 GPM hail pump, and a 1,500-gallon water tank. And their bid is $562,618, $562,618. This is from Southeast Apparatus, Nancy Fire Department, 2023 Freightliner 114 SD Southeast Extreme Duty, 3,000 gallon tanker. I think from now on, we should specify that they put their bid on the very first page.
Yeah.
I'm literally not seeing it. Sorry, everybody, I'm not finding it here. All right. 2023 Freightliner 114 SD Southeast Extreme Duty 3,000 gallon tanker, 484,745, $484,745. Haynes Knob Fire Department, Atlantic Emergency Solutions, a Freightliner M2-106, second generation pumper / tanker, 593,456, $593,456. Last one. Like this is from the same company. It's for Nancy Fire Department. Freightliner 3,000 gallon wet side tanker / pumper, 617,987, $617,987. And that would be the last one.
Make a motion that we send these to Fire Commission for review.
Mr. Renshaw makes a motion to send for review. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Turpin seconds. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. Mr. McCollum, jailer.
Good morning.
All right. Morning.
There seems to be recently a lot of interest in the detention center. So I wanted to give you all kind of a brief overview of what has been going on within the last fiscal year, which most of these numbers reflect from July 1 to current. As of today, we are holding 17 federal inmates, 152 state inmates. The majority of those 152 state inmates were sentenced out of Pulaski County. We are holding 30 parole violators, 62 circuit court pretrials, 82 district court pretrials, 5 county sentenced inmates, and 41 inmates from other counties. Last year, in this fiscal year, the detention center booked in 3,978 people into the facility. We had a monthly average of about 394. We are holding several serious felony charges. We have 1 for arson, 1 for assault first, 9 criminal abuse, 1 for distribution of obscene material by minors, 4 incest, 12 murder, 3 rape first degree, 1 rape third degree, 5 robbery, 7 sexual abuse, 20 strangulation first, and 50 wanton endangerments. The alcohol and drug charges, 1 trafficking in fentanyl, 224 alcohol intoxications, 5 drinking alcoholic beverage in public, 288 possession of drug paraphernalia, 5 for operating a motorboat under the influence, 159 DUI first, 40 DUI first with an aggravator, 8 DUI seconds, 10 DUI seconds with an aggravator. I'll get that out here in a minute. 1 possession of a controlled substance, 13 possession of cocaine, 37 possession of unspecified substance, 8 for opioids, 247 for meth, first degree, 26 possession of meth in the second degree, 1 for possession of a date rape drug, 16 for possession of a controlled substance unspecified, 119 possession of marijuanas, 52 possession of alcohols in open containers, 31 for prescription drugs not in proper containers, 211 for public intoxication, 27 for trafficking in marijuana, 53 for trafficking in methamphetamine, 8 for trafficking in cocaine, 2 for trafficking in substance unspecified, and 17 for trafficking in fentanyl. The detention center goes through 2 inspections a year with the Department of Corrections. They inspect not only the building, but they also audit the records such as training, our programs, our medical, to ensure that we're compliant with all state policies and regulations. The inspector goes through the building, inspects everything. They'll even go into the cells where the inmates are and speak to the inmates. These inspections are very detailed. Our last inspection was in April 2023. The Pulaski County Detention Center was in compliance with all areas except for overcrowding and not having a AA or NA 12-step program. This was because the provider that did that program took another job. Currently, we have found someone that we believe that will fill that position. So that has been rectified. Of course, the county judge, once our inspections are completed, the county judge, the Department of Corrections sends him our inspection so he can review it. We realize that our facility is old. We realize our facility is outdated, but we do our very best to make sure that we are in compliance with all areas, I think, as our last inspection has shown. We do realize that we are one of the most overcrowded jails in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. We are striving to correct this problem by having the feasibility study done, which was completed last week, to see what direction we need to go. That feasibility study was given to the county judge for his review. This decision, of course, will be left up to the court and the people of Pulaski County as what direction we need to go after the feasibility study is reviewed. There are 69 open jails in the state of Kentucky. Many of those jails are smaller than ours. Within those 69 jails that are open out of the 120 counties, most of those 69 jails hold at least half of the state inmates. We hold about as many inmates as the Department of Corrections does. So you can see that whenever we have state inmates, just being able to send them to other facilities is hard because all the facilities are facing the same challenges that we are. Most jails, as you know, are smaller than what we have, so finding the bed space is hard to do. The Kentucky Jailers Association has also, as many of you all may or may not be aware of, has filed a lawsuit against the Department of Corrections because the Department of Corrections has not been bringing up the inmates as quickly as they should be. They have 45 days after sentence to take inmates to the county, or from the county detention centers to the Department of Corrections, and they've not been doing that. They've been leaving them in the county jails, which is one reason why we're still overcrowded. The Pulaski County Detention Center, as you all know, is old and it's outdated. We want to try to be able to correct any problems that comes up. All employees did receive their required amount of training set forth by the state of Kentucky. I'm on the executive board of the Kentucky Jailers Association, and we are pushing for those hours to be increased. We realize that training is important. We want more training for deputy jailers. We feel this has been an area that is critical and has been neglected too long. We want regional training facilities, much like law enforcement, to where new deputy jailers have got to complete an academy no matter what jail they go to. That way everybody's training is the same across the state. The Pulaski County Detention Center also has 5 pre-investigators. PREA stands for Prison Rape Elimination Act. Anytime that an inmate files a complaint of improper sexual abuse or improper sexual contact against either another inmate or a staff member, these investigators investigate those complaints. Once those complaints are investigated, they are sent to the Department of Corrections and also to the Kentucky State Police. Last year we had 3. All 3 of those investigations were unfounded. The employees of the detention center were also subject to random drug tests. These results are given to the county's Human Resource Office and also the county judge. As of last year, no one had failed any drug screens. I am also, even though I am an elected official, I also put myself on that random drug test. Let me see here. Kind of got ahead of myself here. We also purchased a new body scanner last year. We have been able to catch several individuals that have been contraband to the facility. These contraband that was found was turned over to local law enforcement for prosecution. The detention center also, we purchased monitoring devices that were placed in cells to provide continuous monitoring of motion, resting heart rates, and respiratory rates. Any changes in these rates will immediately notify our medical staff and our jail staff. We felt that this early detection is critical when dealing with medical emergencies. Last fiscal year, we had 0 deaths. We realize that even with staff shortages, in which we realize that we are staff shortage, we realize that the staff is underpaid. I will give my staff credit that they work hard to do their job in what they do. However, we still strive to bring services and programs to the inmates and the citizens of Pulaski County. It is not always easy, and we may have to pull staff from other duties to ensure that the main facility is covered. My staff makes this happen. They endure hours of ridicule, but they still keep the facility running. In finding ways to help staff shortages, the Pulaski County Detention Center has partnered with the Pulaski County School System, Workforce Development, and given students of local high schools opportunity to obtain firsthand knowledge of the criminal justice system. These students have no contact with any inmates, but they gain the necessary skills to decide their career path. It also allows them to learn basic office and computer skills that are necessary in today's world. Even if just answering the phone, filing documents, and sorting mail, even if that's all they do, this takes a workload off of my staff members to where they can perform their other duties. Through this partnership, 5 students have gone on to become employees of the detention center after graduating, and 5 have also graduated with bachelor's degrees. Others are also enrolled in different universities. The partnership has also went over to Campbellsville University, and the Campbellsville University has used our facility in order to have interns placed to do their college career. The interns must complete 90 to 100 hours of their internship at the detention center. These interns are exposed to many different experiences as possible. One of those interns from Campbellsville University is now my office manager. The Pulaski County Detention Center, SPEDA, Lake Cumberland Workforce Development, Somerset Community College, and Goodwill formed a partnership to train inmates. We wanted to give the inmates a second chance at life. These inmates have been able to obtain certificates in welding and forklift operations. To date, 26 have graduated and 16 have gone on to work for various factories and locations in Pulaski County. These individuals worked while they were still incarcerated. This initiative is called Critical. This stands for Comprehensive Rehabilitation of Inmates, Transforming Individuals, Communities, and Livelihoods. Somerset Community Colleges, through this initiative, won the Community College of Appalachian Workforce Development Award. This initiative even caught the eyes of the Commonwealth of Kentucky. The Commonwealth of Kentucky has actually started an office to kind of mirror what we started here. This partnership also meets monthly with inmates getting ready to be released from the detention center to give them resources such as things as housing, mental health, drug addiction services, employment, and social benefits. We are still in the process of completing our training building, which we partnered with SPEDA and the Lake Cumberland Regional Hospital. We decided, instead of hiring someone to complete the building, that we should use the inmates to teach them our construction skills. So this building took a little longer, but we felt that we needed to give the inmates the skills. This facility will be completed soon, all done by the work of the inmates. The Pulaski County Detention Center also provides other programs that are specifically based and approved by the state of Kentucky. Not all jails in the state of Kentucky offer these programs. We had 260 enrolled in GED classes. We also provided moral recognition therapy classes, which is also known as MRT. These classes are approved by the state of Kentucky for time credit. They are scientific based. These programs address domestic violence, substance abuse, anger management, codependency, mental health, and criminal justice. We had 271 that participated in the general MRT classes, 184 participated in parenting classes, 211 thinking for good, 232 in anger management, and 209 in untangling relationships. Currently, the Pulaski County Detention Center only has one person assigned to do these classes. However, with the help of the Lake Cumberland Area Health Department, we were able to have a second facilitator. They provided us with one. Our work crews have worked hard at keeping Pulaski County clean. We mowed 214 cemeteries, picked up 118 tons of trash, cleaned up 123 dump sites, retrieved 434 tires, mowed 62 sites, including community parks and property owned by the county at no cost. We also disposed of 546 needles, which was found out in the community. Our inmates also do their own gardening, which also helps cut down on the food cost at the jail. The Pulaski County Detention Center also, with numerous community sponsors, put on a summer camp for kids. This kids is open to any child from the ages of 11 to 14, with a limited number of spots, of course. But this camp teaches the kids about the job opportunities, leadership skills, team building, and social interaction. The Pulaski County Detention Center also, in cooperation with sponsors and Jeremy Bartley Law Office, gave Christmas gifts to over 500 children of inmates last year. We also presented the Too Good for program to local fifth grade students in the Pulaski County school system. Running a jail isn't easy as it seems. There are always obstacles and bumps in the road. When confronted with these situations, I try to make the best decisions I can for the jail and for the community. Sometimes these decisions are not always popular. However, the invitation is always open to any member of the court, to the county judge, to the local media. At any time, if anyone wants to come over and inspect the facility, they are more than welcome. As many of you know, I'm always open to new ideas and always open if there's any corrections that need to be made. Any questions?
I've got a couple.
Sure.
Just so everybody understands, on the financial side of the jail, can you let the community know where your funding goes as far as, first of all, I know the answer to these, but once a person is transported to their jail, you do not get funding for those
I do not.
from state or federal governments.
I do not.
So any person in your jail that is waiting trial, the county covers their costs, right?
Right.
Correct?
That is correct. Right
It
now,
comes-
with 30 parole violators, we do not get any money for. The 62 circuit court pretrial, we get no money for. 82 district court pretrial, we get no money for. The 5 county sentenced inmates, we get no money for. Some of the 41 inmates from other counties, we do get money for, depending on if we have a contract with them. However, we do hold inmates, let's say, if they have a warrant out of Anderson County, we will hold them until Anderson County comes picks them up, but we get no money for them as well. So really, the only money that we are getting is for the 152 state inmates and the 17 federal inmates.
Now, there's been this talk about the city carrying all the burden of different areas. How many of those inmates coming in, what percentage of them comes from the cities and what percentage comes from the county?
Usually it's pretty even. When we pull the numbers,
So about 50%
there
comes from
wasn't-
city arrests and the rest comes from county arrests.
Right, it's pretty
But the-
even numbers.
But the county, they flip the bill for every person until they're found guilty,
Yes, and
correct?
I think state statute requires that the fiscal court be responsible for the,
And this year coming up, we're paying about $1.6 million, if not more, towards that funding,
that's probably about accurate, yes.
correct? Okay. So I just wanted to make everybody aware that the county takes on 100% of the burden of the cost for the jail minus federal and state monies,
Right,
which in this case, this coming year is about $1.6 million.
right, that's correct.
So, thank you. I just wanted to get that information out there,
Yes, I
seeing
think
how
that
there's
budget was
other,
about 5.2. We raised pretty much the revenue, everything except for the 1.6.
Yeah.
That sound about right?
yeah, which has been an ongoing issue. I know the Jailer Association and you guys have been fighting for more money at the state level. The county here has been fighting for more money, but we just end up having to put a lot of money into the jail to help fund. And people don't understand that the county pays that. The cities do not pay anything towards that, correct?
That's correct.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Could I comment just a
You
moment?
absolutely can.
And Jailer McCollum, you do a great job, and we're glad that we have our partnership with you as far as the rocket docket goes. And I was going to wait and mention the rocket docket, because I know we're on the budget side of things there. And for those of you who don't know, the rocket docket started in our county back in 2011. After I got elected in 2010, Eddie Montgomery, who was a Commonwealth attorney, he and I discussed it. There was one in Jefferson County at that time. We wanted to get one up and running here. There was no state money at the time to support that, and this fiscal court, all with the exception of Mr. Ranshaw, and you weren't on the court at the time, or I'm sure you would have supported it, but I think everybody else was here on the court, and you guys gave us seed money to start a rocket docket program, $50,000. And the goal of the rocket docket program was to do one of the things that you talked about. We get paid for state inmates, but we don't get paid for local inmates. So we had these felons who were charged with felonies sitting in jail. We weren't, jail's getting no money for them. And the rocket docket has basically two goals. One is to reduce the cost to the counties of housing inmates, but above and beyond that, it's to get treatment, get people into treatment, et cetera, and it's only for drug cases. So this court invested in our rocket docket idea with $50,000 in seed money. Like everything that's successful, it takes a whole lot of people being involved in it. So it started here at Fiscal Court. We had the Commonwealth Attorney's Office on board. We had to have the circuit court on board, the judge's office, and we started trying to save the county money. And the idea was, if somebody gets arrested over the weekend on a felony charge and they come to arraignment on Monday, we make them a rocket docket offer, and oftentimes we can let them out on bond, but if not, the next week or by the Thursday or Friday of the week they're arraigned, they're in front of a circuit judge entering a guilty plea. And oftentimes they can waive a pre-sentence report and they can be sentenced that very day. If not, the pre-sentence report is done more quickly, and we turn them in from a county expense into a state-paying inmate within a matter of days. And so that's been our partnership with the jail to try to save this county money. And it's not sacrificing justice for brevity. It's, I mean, we're getting these people the treatment that they need, but we also, you know, while it's, I think before we started the program, people were sitting in jail on the county's expense, an average of 300 days. And we've cut that down now to we're in the teens. And there are 41 rocket docket programs across the state, about 90 counties, I think, thereabouts, out of 57 judicial circuits. And we traditionally have ranked no higher than 10th. And that's about where we're at now. We've been 7th, 8th, as far as how quickly we get inmates on the state dime. And I think that's something this court can be proud of, that you invested in this program. And what the next numbers I'm going to throw out to you are not my numbers. They're numbers from the Kentucky Attorney General's office, who keeps track of all this kind of stuff. And the rocket docket, let me back up just a second. The rocket docket program was so successful for those of you who invested in it early on, that in 2015, the Justice Cabinet started using their proceeds and invested in the rocket docket. So as you all know, I'm on the Prosecutor's Advisory Council, and we just finished meeting last week and approving all the continuation and some new rocket docket programs and that sort of thing. But so they saw how successful it was, and they've invested millions and millions of dollars in it. But so I can't tell you what our savings were from 2011 to 2015 because the Attorney General's office didn't keep track of those because they weren't handling the money. And I could probably go back, because I'm kind of a numbers guy, so I could probably go back and find them. But just from 2015, when they started tracking it at the Attorney General's office, and these aren't my numbers, they're the Attorney General's, this county has saved $4,053,014 because of the rocket docket program that you guys invested in back in 2011. So that's a lot to be proud of for you guys. And thank you.
Thank you, Martin, for bringing that to us too.
Yeah.
'Cause that was a big undertaking for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate everything you do, and Martin's office and David Dalton's office, the Commonwealth Attorney's office. We all try to work together to ensure things, are run smoothly.
And I didn't mean to slight David. Eddie and I started it, but David has been a great proponent of it, and it's continuing under his leadership in that office.
I think we got Senate Bill 90 too that
Yep.
we're still trying to.
Yeah, and that's another thing. That's the mental health, which, again, I think that's going to be another situation. I've worked hard over the past 3 or 4 years for us to be a part of this, and it's geared toward individuals. You know, our system's not designed very well to deal with mental health issues, and so we were, I hope, because of my lobbying efforts and my relationships, we were awarded by the legislature as one of the 10 pilot counties. They're rolling it out as a pilot project. The idea behind it is to get people assessed as soon as they come into the system, find out what their issues are, if it's mental health, if it's addiction, if it's both, which came first, and then getting them a treatment plan, getting them treatment, and kind of what you guys are already doing over there, which I think is a good fit for this program, along with the treatment, then getting them job skills and getting them out into the workplace. And it's a voluntary program. We can't force them into it. But again, it's people that we're not holding over there in a jail cell and not able to do anything for them. So we're hoping, and it's not for, there's only a class of cases that it's going to be applicable to. So it's not for sexual offenders and, a lot of those violent crimes that Jailer McCullum mentioned. It's for people who are mostly kind of dipping their toe into the system because they've got mental health issues or because they've got addiction issues that we've not been able to address. And I've been doing this a long time, and I can tell y'all, we're never going to arrest our way out of a lot of these problems. I mean, we're just not going to. And so I'm excited that this program, it's kicked off in Letcher County. Our kickoff, our meeting is at the public library on the 12th of July. For anybody that's interested in coming and hearing about it, or somebody that might want to try to be an approved provider of any of these services. I'm trying to think of the time. 5 to 7, 6 to
5 p.m.
Yeah.
Probably 5 to 7. Yeah.
So July 12th at the public library. I'm excited about it. I think it'll help again with a lot of these issues that the jailer's talked about. That's not only afflicting him over in the jail, but it's afflicting our entire community. So it's something I've worked very hard on. I'm proud of it, and I'm looking forward to the support of everybody in the system here to see if we can do things a little bit differently.
I appreciate all the cleaning up that you guys do, mowing and picking up garbage.
It makes the community look better. It does.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks, Anthony. Good report. Next item will be Sheriff Bobby Jones.
Good morning. When I took office, I promised this county that I'd be transparent. So, like I've told you before, transparency is not always going to be pleasant. So, I want to talk about our canines and our seat time, which are both budget issues, extremely just hit us. Just to let you know how this transpired, our canines. When I talk about canines, I'm assuming everybody knows it's our dogs that goes out and gets the drugs for us, tracks people. They've been extremely beneficial over the years, but they've been extremely cost-worthy as far as we could call these guys out, and they're regular patrol deputies. We call them out. We got one that's a deputy now, one's a detective. And so we can't really give them the time off because we don't have the manpower to take people off the road. So the canines, and I talked to our drug guys just this week. I know it's pounds of meth that they've already gotten off the streets. They've done a lot of federal cases right now. One thing that I was sitting over there and just thought of, I don't have written down, is Pulaski, the sheriff's office, just to let you know, is a unique. I'm trying to think of other jobs to where the more you do, the more you create on yourself.
I got one.
yeah. But they're rare. I mean, if you're talking, and I don't no dig on anybody, but I mean, if you're working in the road department, you go out and you fix the road's fixed, you go on and move on to something else. With us, you go out and arrest somebody, there's stuff that comes after that. A lot of our guys are taking these cases federally. The reason you're not hearing about them, they're taking these cases federally. They have to transport them over to federal court, back and forth. They have to do all the transports and stuff. They're taking care of a lot of stuff through this federal court, which is good because it's a lot more. We're going after a lot of guys that are handling large quantities, and they're looking at a lot of federal time. So, but our canines is responsible. So I talked to them about this, about our canines being responsible for a lot of this. But the transparency part comes in to, we got gigged. The labor board gigged us. I was notified last fall of the canine, how to handle canine officers, how to pay canine officers, how to deal with canines, because you take a canine home with you. Like our pilot program, the pilots don't take the helicopters home with them, so the only time they get paid is when they're in a helicopter. Well, these canines go home with these canines. So I done my research, I looked on it, and what I found was that it had to be documented and that you have to compensate them. So what we was doing, myself and Sheriff Speck, was we was giving them time to take care of their dogs while they was on duty, to bathe their dogs, feed their dogs, all this kind of stuff, and we was allowing them to, and we was paying our canines an extra $1,000 a year. But the labor board says that's not acceptable. I asked for the regs on this. I've got the case law on some of this stuff, but I've asked for the actual, specifically, where does it say that it has to be a line item on the timesheets? It doesn't. There's not in there, but they gigged us anyway. So I ran this by Martin Hatfield's office. I ran this by the Jerry Wagner with the Kentucky Sheriff's Association. I ran it through our state auditors. I ran it through other sheriffs and other law enforcement heads that have canines. No one has heard of this. So we got gigged because somebody turned us in the labor board. So they went back the last 4 years, so the Pulaski County Sheriff's Department is going to have to pay out a total of $61,072.90. That's not in our budget. But we'll do it. We'll get done. We've made our first payment. This goes to 7 canine handlers over the last 4 years. They're not going to penalize us. They're not going to hold us. There's no penalty excess with this or no fines excess with this. So they're not going to fine us, or else all we have to do is pay the former canine handlers and our 2 current canine handlers. And I've got it all broken down if y'all interested. I'm not sure if y'all interested or not, but we're going to do this in 2 different payments. One payment was done already. First payment's already been sent out for a total of $30,536.45. The other payment will be done. They wanted it done in January. We talked them into doing it in December because of the way our budget runs, and they're good with that. So I just want to be transparent about the way that happened. The very day, I just want everybody to know where I stand with this. The very day that the labor board contacted me was on a Friday morning. I had a canine handler that didn't come in until 10 o'clock. He's supposed to come in at 8 because we give him every morning, every Friday's his day to bathe his dog, to do his dog. We pay all the vet bills, we pay all the vehicle expenses, we pay for all the kennels, we pay for everything. And I explained to this lady, I was like, well, we're doing this, but because it wasn't a line item, they gigged us, so we got to pay it. So anyway, I just wanted transparency, just let you know that that's happened, in case you hear anything about it. That's what that's about. The other thing that I want to bring to court is the sea time. I had mentioned several people, and I don't think everybody understands. Just today, one of the guys, or one of our canine handlers that has probably one of the top 4 of our C-time, that has top 4 C-time build up, was supposed to go home at 6 o'clock in the morning. I get here at 8 o'clock in the morning, he's still here working on an extremely bad criminal abuse case. It's bad. I've got the details on it. It's extremely bad. So it's either he stays out or he calls a detective to come in. Either way, it's C-time. It's working over. And that builds up. I've looked for the last 6 months on how to get C-time down. That's one reason I asked for the additional deputies that I think I need, because I was told that this wasn't clear to some people about the C-time. If I wasn't a deputy, or if I wasn't a sheriff that cared, and I could just let people go out there and build up C-time and just pass it on to the next sheriff, somewhere down the road, this C-time has to be paid off. When they quit and leave us, when they retire, sometime this C-time has to be paid off. And it's easy to sit there and say, well, don't let it build up. Don't let it get to a big amount. And transparency coming out. I know how the state police does it. You get 200 hours C-time, you're off. They put you off work. But they don't have to answer calls 24/7 in this county. Somebody does. And I'm not leaving deputy out there by himself. So, with that being said, I'm trying to figure out how to get this C-time down. I've been dealing with this last 6 months. But another thing I want to take that make the court aware of is when a deputy has built up C-time, then he gets it at this particular stage right now. And if he don't get it, and he quits down the road 4 years down the road, and we pay that out, we're paying him out on the amount 4 years down the road, whatever his salary is then, instead of getting it caught up now. So it builds up. Prime example of that is if someone 4 years ago got C-time because they was working on a particular case, and because this happened in our department, and he worked a lot of hours because it's a murder case, and he got a lot of hours built up at that particular time, and now he's in a different position where he's making more money. When we have to pay that C-time out, we've got to pay him out at this. I'm trying to figure out how to get it down. I'm trying to get it down. But I just want the court to know that is one reason that I've asked for additional manpower, is because we can either have additional men to work the streets at regular time, or we can keep paying this out as C-time at some point in the road. If y'all got an answer on how to get C-time down, it's easy to sit there and say, don't do it. It's just not practical. It just really isn't. You know, when we have a lady that has been abused to the point that hazmat has to come in and get her out of the house, that extreme, somebody's got to be there for her. And I'm not going to expect my deputy to sit there and say, well, it's 6 o'clock, I'm going home, I'm not going to finish this case. I've tried to look at it, but I just wanted y'all to know about the finances and the canine and the C-time. Not asking for nothing. I'm not here to do that. This is just me being transparent with the court and also to the public, letting them know that this has happened. I don't agree with it, but it doesn't matter what I agree with. It's what I've got to do, and that's what we'll do. Any questions from you all?
Bobby, I've actually got a question.
Yes.
Do you have a maximum on your C-time?
I do not.
That suggestion, that might be the first thing that you try to implement. And the reason I'm going there
Sure.
is what you can do. City of Burnside actually did this. We
Right.
capped it off. But the suggestion was made to pay out blocks of 40 if you got close to it. So say
Right.
your max was 240, when they got
Right.
200, you pay out 40 hours.
That's what we had talked about that. Myself and the finance lady had talked about that. What we was going to do was at the end of the year, we was going to pay that out. I know this sounds bizarre, but transparency coming out again. We got a deputy that didn't know he was getting. He's a school resource officer that helped us out in the summer. Had no idea that he was supposed to be taking his vacation times, and he was just accumulating up. So, that just built up, and which helps us out in the summer, because that's when we have most people taking off for their vacations, and we need those school resource officers that work full-time to come in the field for them. But to get back to your point, we had discussed that, and actually before we had already talked about that's what I was going to do, is pay these down within the year money, was pay these down, but this canine stuff come in and bid us. And like I said, we talked to state auditors and everything. This is a new thing. We're going to have them talk about it. Kentucky Sheriff's Association, let everybody know. Kentucky Chiefs of Police is going to talk about it. And unfortunately, Pulaski County is the guinea pig on this. And And unfortunately, they're requiring us, even though they can't show me the document to say it has to be a line item on their pay, on their, so what we're doing with the canines right now is, how we fix the problem is, we're giving them they work 10-hour shifts, we're giving them 9-hour shifts, so they got that extra hour. They're entitled 30 minutes a day for their canines, is what they're entitled, 30 minutes a day, 7-day week, that's 3.5 hours. What we're doing is the same thing PD's doing, is giving them, with their work on the schedule, we put them 9-hour shifts for 4 10-hour days. So they got so they got the 4 hours. The $1,000 is still a mystery to me why they won't count it. I don't know. It's $1,000, it's a contract, we got it there. It's not a contract, but it's just a thing that we saying, and we can prove it by our pay, that we've increased our pay $1,000 a year, but they said that has nothing to do with canines. I can't fight the system, I don't understand it, but it is what it
And we
is.
talked about contesting it.
We did.
And the sheriff decided that he's got a lot more time left in office, and it is a gray area. And CAECO, I talked with them, and, we've got that $50,000. They won't pay the 60 if we had if we had prevail, there wouldn't be a 60 to pay, but they were going to provide coverage for the sheriff to contest it if he wanted to. But it is a gray area, and he's right. I mean, I'm like him. There's nothing anywhere that says it has to be a line item. It's just their interpretation of what documentation means. So who knows how it would have turned out, but kudos to CAECO, because they were going to.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Any more
Real,
questions?
real quick, while you were talking about personnel again, where do you stand on hiring your one, I know you want us to give more money for new sheriffs, but where you stand now? Are you fully staffed on, the last time we talked, you were down,
4, I think.
I think it was more like
Or
7.
maybe, I mean, I don't, we're right now with the staffing that we've got, we've still got 1 position to hire. We've got 1 I'm swearing in, this coming Sunday, I'm swearing in another guy that won't go to this is, people don't believe me when I say this. The reason we're not hiring him in till the 2nd of July is because he's been in the process for 3 months. We wanted to hire him 3 months ago, but he has to complete the academy date within 1 year of the time we send him. So we got him in the academy in October. So we're going to hire him in July. He's just going to have to ride with people and learn the job, which I think is good too. Anyway, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. So he'll be a deputy with us, but he won't go to the academy. And I know Somerset Police Department's doing the same thing. I talked to Chief Hunt yesterday, and they've got 4 going in October as well. So by the time he gets in October, does his 20 weeks. When it goes in October, you're also talking about Christmas breaks and New Year's break and and all the holidays. So by the time he I think it's out. I won't say because I don't remember what his out date is. But then when he gets out, then he's got to come through some more FTO training before he's actually hit the road. So it's going to be spring of 2024 before he's out. So our next hire, whoever that next hire is, we're still talking about. It's that far off.
So you've hired 5 road-ready deputies that didn't have to go through the academy, or?
No, no, I've not hired. I've hired. What I'm talking about is the ones that have came in to replace the ones that's went out. So no, we're still short-staffed. I don't know.
You're still short 7?
Absolutely. Well, I don't know if 7. I'll get you a number on that. I'll get you an exact number. I meant to have all that ready. I just talked to Beverly just a minute ago, and what he was up here doing a minute ago was all of his records. I've been wanting to do that forever, come up and give you some. The problem is time, getting time to sit down. And I'm just going to be transparent with this court, too. One of the things that I'm running into is a unique situation with, as being a sheriff, is I was a lieutenant detective, Pulaski Sheriff's Office, involved in major cases. Those major cases are hitting trial dates coming up, and murder cases that's getting ready to come and try. And I'm spending a lot of time having to go back and go through evidence, look at those cases and stuff like that. I'm spending hours doing that. It's part of my job. It's what I got to do. Once that fades out, I'm trying to stay away from scenes. But as far as your total number of deputies, like I said, I know we got 1 more to hire. We've hired Grant, but we've also just in the last, since I've been in office, we've lost 5. We lost 1 to Burnside. We've lost 2 to Jamestown Parks. We've lost one to Science Hill, and we lost one to Kentucky State Police.
How many of those retired and went on to be working another position?
None of them's retired.
Okay.
They're all where we're at right now. And this is another issue that we're trying to. I put out an email last week for a night shift sergeant. We're needing another night shift sergeant because so we can take some of this load off of us instead of us having to make decisions for these deputies. We're a really young department, extremely young department. The 5 that I just named are all 5 to 7 year employees. You know, those that would be qualified to, you know, in a sergeant position. Those are the ones, you know, every one of those are the ones, you know, have left, are out of their contracts, and now they're you know, they're moving on to other positions for better pay and better benefits, or better benefits than pay. But
Well, we included a raise or money, additional money for you in this budget. It wasn't $1 million you asked for because we can't afford it. I mean, as I'll explain later.
Yeah.
What our situation is,
Yeah.
and what I believe our situation is with our budget, but.
Yeah, and I you know, I understand that. My job is to come up here and ask for what I think we need, and I just met with Chief Hunt in the corner yesterday and was talking about it, and he done that thing. I'm sure you asked for this, hoping to get this. I said I didn't. I said I made no secret about it when I was up here. I asked for what I think we need for this county to really run this county, you know, and I'm not. I know I'm saying it a lot, but if we had other agencies to come in and backfill for us, that would be fine. If we could say, okay, well, what I don't need 3 deputies out or 4 deputies out on this shift because I know there's other agencies going to come in and take it. I mean, transparency. The reality is, Pulaski County Sheriff's Office answers 98-99% of all the calls in Pulaski County. That's a tremendous lot of calls. So something's got to give. You know, either my men are going to, they're still asking me, what's going to happen, what's going to happen. Some are just waiting. I know the last one that left was just waiting to see what happened, and I think his hopes was dashed. I'm not saying that's good or bad. I'm just saying if money ain't there, but I think his hopes was dashed, and he decided to move on.
Well,
I'm just to the point where I'm tired of asking.
As far as healthcare, I know we have to change healthcare companies, so I know we're going to be probably quoting that out here right after this budget's taken care of. But I mean, hopefully we can find something that works for a family plan. I know this current budget stinks for a family plan, so.
Well, and I think that's what's happening. A lot of our, like I said, a lot of our young deputies, and when they get in law enforcement, they don't care. But as they stay in there 2 years, then they develop a family and they have kids, and I know one reason that's happened on 2 of them. I mean, when they had kids, that's affected their lives. When you have to pay benefits, I mean, that's what they're telling me. But like I said, you're welcome to reach out to them and ask them, hey, why'd they quit? Why'd they move on? You're welcome to do that. I just know what they're telling me is that they got to support their family.
But I understand where they're coming from as far as, we got a lot of other county employees that's in the same way, that needs a family plan, so. But, thank you, I just wanted an update on that manpower situation.
Any other questions? All right, thank you. Appreciate it.
Next item of business would be fleet maintenance. Frank?
I'd like to ask for permission to hire Zach Hoyt to fill my mechanic position.
Have a motion? Do we have a motion?
Hoyt, yep.
Need a
We
motion?
advertised for this position, right?
When did we?
I said we did advertise.
Yes.
Second.
Who made the motion?
I'll motion.
Oh, I thought Wilson did.
He motioned, I'll second. How's that?
Mr. Strunk makes the motion, Mr. Ranshaw seconds. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thanks.
All you got? I think the next item of business would be to approve the road list.
Second.
Mr. Wheeldon makes the motion, Mr. Strunk seconds. Any discussion on the road list? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
In addition, did we need any more patching or oil for total patcher or anything?
No. Next item would be bill list. Treasurer?
We've got a second bill list this month, so we can get everything cleared out for the end of the fiscal year. Does anybody have any questions about what's on the bill list, or what can you have approval?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Mr. Strunk makes the motion, Mr. Wilson seconds. Any discussion on the bill list? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Krista, transfers.
Actually, we probably ought to do the second reading of the budget amendment before we can do the transfers. Does anybody have any questions about the budget amendment? That's just reflection of some extra revenue that we didn't have accounted for and didn't anticipate coming in for this fiscal year.
Just, was there any changes to this from the first reading to the second reading?
Motion for budget transfers. Amendment.
Second.
Mr. Strunk makes the motion, Mr. Wheeldon seconds for the second reading of the budget amendment. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
On the budget transfers, that's just housekeeping for the current fiscal year. I would also ask not only that you guys approve these budget transfers, but any transfers that we might have necessary through June 30th. That's just 3 days away. If we were to have any anticipated expenses come in, like utilities or payroll.
Motion.
Mr. Wheeldon makes a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Wilson seconds. Any discussion on the transfers?
That legal? Are we allowed to do that?
I promise.
Yep.
We can, anything, we can state that anything through June 30th, we can transfer without a vote?
Voting on it now.
Huh?
You're voting on it now.
It's pre-approval.
Will you make sure we know what those transfer were?
I sure will.
That's a question.
Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We can follow this next. Next item of business would be the second reading of the FAR ordinance.
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Renshaw makes the motion. Mr. Strunk seconds. Any questions, comments?
One thing we did is we changed, it was kind of confusing, the 5% and then so much of a percent of the 5%. And so we changed it to, obviously the 5.5% is the license fee. So instead of saying 2.5% of that went to one place and the rest to the other, we changed it to a percentage, and 67% of the 5.5%, whatever that total amount the 5.5% generates, 67% of that will go to the Pulaski County Fire Protection Sinking Fund, and then the remainder, 33%, will be deposited into the county's general fund. So hopefully that makes it, that clarifies it. When we got to discussing it, it was a little confusing, so.
And the only thing I would have to say about this is, just to make people aware, anytime a city annexes a piece of property that was in the county, we lose the insurance premium tax for that piece of property, and it goes to that city. So we're actually losing funds that would have helped us with our budget, but instead goes to that city to annex that piece of property.
I think, didn't you all
We
vote?
do have a resolution about splitting half of any annex, so.
That's in-
They get half and we get half, but I don't know if
That's in
anything's ever
place.
been.
Yeah, that's in place.
Okay. So, but we are still losing part of our funds due to annexation, so I just wanted to make that point clear.
Have a motion on the floor. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Next item would be the second reading of the budget. Chrissy? The budget for 2024.
Motion.
Mr. Renshaw makes the motion. Mr. Strunk seconds. Any discussion?
Yeah, I just want to say, I appreciate you, Judge. It's the first time since I've been a magistrate that a judge has sat down and worked for 2.5 months, basically, to put this budget together, and the magistrates all got together. I think this is probably the closest budget that, since I've been in office, that I've seen that we've really sat down and went through this budget. I mean, it wasn't just something that was created. We went line on line, probably 2 or 3 times. And one of the things that I just want to mention, besides the great work that was done on this budget, our budget's tight. We had a lot of different organizations that asked for money that we couldn't provide. And I wish we could. Every magistrate in this room probably would love to give the jail $1 million or I mean the sheriff's office $1 million or any other organization that requests the money. We don't have it. Our biggest revenue area is our occupational tax, and we only seen a $400,000 increase, where our expenses are shooting out of the roof. So we had to cut things and back things out to make this budget work, and over the next, now this is it. We're gonna have to figure out a way to increase revenue. I mean, future budgets, we're looking at retirement going up over the next 3 years, about $1 million a year. We're gonna have to figure out a revenue, how to straighten out our revenue. So I hate to say that, but we are going to, I mean, we've already talked about this. We're going to start a quarterly budget committee to go over and make sure we're, if not cutting this budget that we're passing today, or making sure that we're not excessive spending. So, and I appreciate the judge wanting to do that. So, but I just want to say, if anybody knows me, I'm pretty straightforward with everything I say, but, you know, this was a good budget. We had to cut a lot. We couldn't do a lot, but we're going to have to fix some things in the future, and it's going to be tough for every one of us, so.
I want to say on behalf of the magistrates, it has been a long process. It's my first budget with working with the court. Appreciate all the magistrates working with me, getting each one together one at a time, 2 at a time, but no more, because we don't want to violate state law. Appreciate the tremendous help Chris has been to me with the new treasurer and working with our first big budget that we worked through with lots of requests for money. But I appreciate the court working with us, getting this put together. I think this is a real true budget of what we're going to spend and what we're going to bring in. We're hoping it'll work out. You know, it's with the addition of the budget amendment with $7.8 million coming in at the end to just get balanced up for the year, it gives us a true look at what we're looking at in the future. So hopefully it'll all work out. But we do want to watch our spending going forward. Our insurance and retirement is something we have to get hold of. We've had a tremendous increase in our insurance premiums, so we have to watch that going forward. But appreciate all your help and what everybody's worked with me to put it together. Appreciate everyone.
I did have one more comment. I want everybody to understand that we're hearing a lot of stuff saying that other people are carrying the county, the city in particular. I want everybody to understand we help the city with EMS. We pay over $1.4 million to the city. But when they say that we're not covering them or they're carrying all the boat, just like I talked with the jailer today, we carry 100% of the jail. We don't get help from the cities. We carry 100% of 911. We don't get help from the cities. We carry 100% of the animal shelter. We don't get help from the city. So for them to say they're carrying the boat for the county, I think is wrong. Yes, EMS is a big area, and the city's got to figure out how they're going to fund that, but they can't rely on us to come up with $700,000 more every year plus to help them out. They're going to have to, we're in a budget situation here. I mean, we're okay this year, but future years, we're going to be in a tough situation, and we're going to have to they're going to have to figure out how to fund the EMS that will help wherever we can, but there's limits to what we can help with, so I just want to put that out there too. I was upset to hear that there was one that the city mentioned that they're carrying the county. It's not the case at all. They got over $100 million budget. Our budget's $45 million. So I just wanted everybody to,
Any
I
other
wanted to put
comments?
that out there, so.
Any other questions? We have a motion on the floor and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Is there any other business to come before the body?
I need to bring up something. I meant to bring it up before y'all approve the minutes, and I apologize. I was over here probably opening boxes or something. Or nervous about having to open boxes. I don't know.
There you go, trying to find it out.
Yeah, Mark Vaught and I talked after, with regard to item number 10 on the minutes, and that was where you guys voted to leave the apportionment district. Like, as Bobby's saying, technicalities can sometimes, or interpretation can get you in trouble. So the statute says, let me read it here. Statute says, that's KRS 67.045 subsection 6. And it talks about those timelines and so forth, and it says, within 60 days of the receipt of the report, the fiscal court shall consider the report of the commissioners and, in accordance with some other statutes, adopt or amend the report in establishing the districts. Well, you guys voted to keep them the way they are. In my mind, that was sufficient to amend the report, because the report recommended, and I don't have it with me here today, but it recommended not leaving them the same. So, just to be clear and make sure we're technically complying with the statute, the court should probably go back and vote to reject the recommendation in the report, or not adopt the recommendation in the report, and adopt what you all voted on in item 10 at the last meeting. I know that just seems like a technicality, but just to clarify, that probably should be done.
Motion.
Mr. Wheeldon makes that motion to amend what we did before.
So you're basically voting, you would vote to amend the report in establishing the districts and adopt leaving it the way it is.
That's your motion. Do I have a second to that motion?
Second.
Mr. Wilson seconds. Any discussion?
Yeah, I'm still going to object to it because I do think it needs some kind of reappropriation to make it more fair for everybody in the county, instead of me having, 1/3 of the county, it seems like, is in my district, so. And then it comes down to fairness for everybody, so I'm still voting no.
All in favor, say aye. Any opposed?
All right,
No.
do a roll.
Need a roll call.
Turpin,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Wheeldon,
Yes.
Ranshaw,
No.
Strunk.
Yes.
Motion carries. Any other issues to be brought before the court? We will move to citizens' comments. Do we have any citizens that want to comment about anything? Seeing none, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Mr. Wilson makes a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Turpin seconds. Mr. Turpin seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Appreciate everyone staying with us.